Alright guys, I'm here to put you on game. I'm trying to give you guys the top 5 best loadouts in Warzone 2. These are all meta, but before we get into that, I'm giving away 3 battle passes this video. All you guys have to do is comment your gamer tag and hit the like on this video. Really that simple. We're starting out with number 1, which is the Cronin Squall. I don't know why people prefer this over the ISO Hemlock, but since you guys see this as number 1, I'm gonna give this for number 1. Sack and tread 40 for the vertical and horizontal recoil control. Tune this for gun kick control at 0.28 inches. Change the recoil stabilization to 0.59 ounces. It doesn't matter if you're a little off, just try to get it as close as possible to that, because beyond that, it does not get better, it actually gets worse. Put on the HR 6.8 barrel for damage range, bullet velocity, recoil control, and hip fire accuracy. Change the tuning to 0.37 inches in length for damage range, and the weight to 0.39 pounds for recoil steadiness. Put on the 6.8 high velocity for bullet velocity, and change the tuning to 8.71 GR for bullet velocity. Increase the weight by 0.50 Gs for damage range. Put on the 50 round drum. Unless you think you can handle the 30 round mag, you will get more movement speed, aim down sight speed, reload quickness, and sprint to fire speed. And last but not least, I put on the aim op V4. Now, if you choose to use the SZ Holotherm, it's completely up to you, and some people prefer this, so whichever one you want is completely fine. The tuning is set to negative 1.65 inches, and here's the outcome of this beautiful weapon. So the interesting thing about the Cronin Squall is that it has a circular recoil pattern, which makes it way different than any other weapon. When you actually do this, you kind of have to hold your thumbstick to the bottom right to kind of counteract the circular recoil. And just to show you the long range control, like I said, hold your thumbstick to the bottom right and you'll be good to go for the circular recoil. Next, we're moving on to the king of all SMGs, the MP5, aka the Lockman sub. I put on the X10 RR40 for sound suppression, bullet velocity, damage range, and recoil smoothness. I tuned the length to 0.32 inches for bullet velocity, and 0.90 ounces for recoil smoothness. Put on the MERC FOREGRIP for hip fire accuracy, recoil steadiness, hip recoil control, and aim walking steadiness. I also tuned the length to 0.28 inches on the negative side and negative 0.54 ounces for hip walking speed. Put on the 9mm overpressured for target flinch, and tune the bullet velocity of 4.94 GR and the damage range of 0.45 G. I put on the 40 round mag, but if you think you need 50 bullets, completely up to you. I just don't think that's necessary. Lastly, I put on the VLK Laser 7 MW for aim down sight speed, aiming stability, and sprint to fire speed. I tuned the aim down sight speed to negative 19.74 feet, but just try to be as close as possible because that's trying to be really precise. And I changed the weight to negative 0.23 ounces for sprint to fire speed, and like I said before, just try to get as close as possible. This build is honestly one of my favorite SMGs. The only downside is long range. You're either gonna have to burst fire or hope that your shots are straight enough to actually connect. So my suggestion would be to keep it short to medium range, and if you have to get a long range gunfight, hope it goes like that. Next to my personal favorites is the ISO Hemlock, and this weapon just gets the job done with minimal effort. I put on the Harbinger D20 for sound suppression, bullet velocity, damage range, and recoil smoothness. Then I changed the bullet velocity of 0.87 inches and the recoil smoothness to 0.54 ounces. Put on the Fielder T50 for damage range, bullet velocity, hip fire accuracy, and recoil control. Tune the damage range to 0.17 inches and the recoil steadiness to 0.15 pounds. Put on the aim op V4 and put the far distance to negative 1.65 inches, 5.56 high velocity rounds for increase of bullet velocity, tune the bullet velocity of 5.81 GR and the damage range to 0.36 G, and lastly a 45 round mag unless you're daring enough to use the 20 round, which I highly do not recommend. This is the end product, and like I said in the previous one, this does not take much effort to use. It's very easy. As you guys see, my accuracy is extremely high. In fact, I'm not even really holding my thumbstick down. As you guys see, it just gets the job done with little to no effort. Another weapon that I would love to show you guys right now is the Vaznev 9K. This thing is amazing, and I have to show you this build because it's gonna melt faster than probably any other SMG. So the X10 RR40 for sound suppression, bullet velocity, damage range, and recoil smoothness. CAS 1 381mm for damage range, hip fire accuracy, and bullet velocity. Tune the length to 0.15 inches for damage range, and the weight to 0.34 pounds for recoil steadiness. 45 round mag unless you think you can handle 30 rounds, and if you can, then just put on overpressured. TRUE-TAC grip for sprint to fire speed and aim down sight speed. Tune the sprint to fire speed to negative 0.15 inches and the recoil steadiness to 0.58 ounces. Last but not least, the broadside FCT for aiming stability, crouch movement speed, aim down sight speed, and sprint speed. Tune the aiming out stability to 0.70 inches and the aim down sight speed to negative 3.87 ounces. Here's the end product, and it's very easy to use. The only downside is long range you're going to have to burst fire, but considering how fast the fire rate is, you won't really have to worry about actually getting the shots off. The final weapon I want to show you guys is the TAC-56, because although it's not the current meta, it is an awesome off-meta weapon to use. So we start out with the Harbinger D20 for sound suppression, bullet velocity, damage range, and recoil smoothness. Tune the bullet velocity to 0.81 inches and the recoil smoothness to 0.54 ounces. 17.5 Tundra Pro Barrel for damage range, hipfire accuracy, and bullet velocity. Tune the damage range to 0.21 inches and the recoil steadiness to 0.35 pounds. 5.56 high velocity for bullet velocity increase. Set the bullet velocity at 9 GR and the damage range of 0.61 G. 60 round mag unless you think you can handle 40, in which you would get more movement speed, aim down sight speed, reload quickness, and sprint to fire speed. Aim out B4 for precision sight, and tune the far distance to negative 1.65 inches. Here's the final product. And the reason I like this so much, even though it's off meta, is because it packs a powerful punch. If you can get your shots on point in this low recoil weapon, this thing is going to be practically unstoppable compared to the ISO Hemlock. For those of you that run a secondary instead of two primary weapons, this secondary is for you. It's the FTAC Siege, and it is the MP9 version. So I put on the SuperTAC VI for damage range, bullet velocity, recoil control, and hipfire accuracy. Tune the damage range to 0.14 inches and the recoil steadiness to 0.31 pounds. 9mm overpressure for target flinch. Increase the bullet velocity by 6.84 GR and the damage range by 0.45 G. Beyond that, it gets worse. Make sure you keep that in mind. 50 round drum, because I don't suggest 72. You'll move too slow, and 20 is just not enough. SIR 160 for sprint to fire speed and aim down sight speed. Tune the aiming out stability at 0.03 inches, or just don't change it and leave the weight alone. FTAC folder for crouch movement speed, recoil control, sprint speed, and aiming stability, and increase the aiming out stability by 1.54 inches. This is the end product, and this is something that I can recommend to short to medium range, but long range would be a little too dangerous. I don't recommend using this long range, is why I'm not even going to test it long range, because there shouldn't be a situation where you have to use this long range. And universally for all my loadouts, this is kind of the same thing I use: the stun grenade, the throwing knife. The perk package is overkill, double time, fast hands, and high alert. High alert is so useful for when there's an enemy behind you and you don't even know. All you have to do is quickly turn on them when they flash on your screen. Now, if I'm not using overkill, tracker is so optimal to find enemies that may be hiding in corners, running away, or just slight trails that you may catch up on. Also, exclusively for controller players, put your aim assist type to Black Ops and you'll get more aim assist than usual.